It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Hello and welcome on in to a Tuesday edition of The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts, as well as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. On the show today, we are talking about the surprising but not surprising firing of Brian Callahan down in Tennessee, how it comes at the perfect time with the Patriots coming into town this weekend. And we will see that, well, they will see right up close and personal what exactly they let leave town with Mike Vrabel and what he's doing with the Patriots and all of that irony kind of coming together. Plus, we'll take a look at that 24 draft class for the quarterbacks a year plus into it and why Drake May might actually be the best guy to have, even though Jaden Daniels was the one who went to the NFC Championship game and won the Rookie of the Year last year. We'll also go through the top three pitchers on the wish list, starting pitchers on the wish list for the Boston Red Sox this winter. And then we'll take a look at the Bruins. 3-1. Is this just who the Bruins are, or is this all a bit fluky and we shouldn't be booking those playoff tickets just yet? All that and more coming up on The Cam Show. But we start where we start. The Patriots are red hot. They're 4-2, likely going to be 6-2 by the time they face their next good team, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a couple of weeks. But this one got a little bit more interesting for Sunday's 1 o'clock game down in Nashville, okay, with the homecoming for Mike Vrabel. Let's get into that, shall we? This Patriots-Titans game got a little bit more interesting for Sunday afternoon, as if we needed to add any more intrigue to the great Patriots-Titans matchup. But Brian Callahan fired by Tennessee. Apparently 4-19 is just not good enough to keep your job in Nashville. The Brian Callahan era is over, and it's right in time for Mike Vrabel to come back and inadvertently throw it back in the Titans fans' faces a little bit, because he doesn't want to be doing that, but certainly that's the way the Titans fans will take this. By the way, shocked Mike McDaniel was not the first head coach gone in the NFL cycle this year. Stunned that Mike McDaniel was not the first and will probably be the second. But this Tennessee situation is really, really bad. I mean, think of the Patriots the last couple of years without Drake May and not getting better. You know, this is a bad deal, and it all starts when you have straight up bad ownership. And Amy Adams Strunk. Like, remember, this was such a weird thing to see how the McNair family was going to hand this thing down, and it has just not been smooth on the field or off the field. It's their third GM in 4 years. It's going to be their second head coach in that span, and you're looking for a new head coach 6 games in to the career of your new franchise quarterback in Cam Ward. Like, that is a disaster. That is a dumpster fire that the Patriots are going to play this weekend. By the way, a team that they lost to last year. It wasn't that long ago. The Patriots were just this bad. But what's kind of funny and ironic about this whole situation is it all comes back to Mike Vrabel, of all people, right? Like, Vrabel was the one who was fired by Amy Adams Strunk, basically because she didn't like him being in the red blazer for the Patriots Hall of Fame. And it was not Mike Vrabel leaving on his own. It wasn't Vrabel saying, I've had enough of this ownership. In fact, he was beloved there in Nashville, not just as the coach, but like a guy in the community and like doing a lot of charity work and being someone that, you know, the fans really identified with. You know, football guys hitting people in practice and having the blood come down and be hugging the players after the game. It's all the same things we see here in New England. They loved him down there. And Amy Adams Strunk, after one bad season, said, we've had enough. I know you're the guy who's taken us to our only AFC championship game since Y2K. I know you had us as the number 1 seed when we had an injury list a mile long. I know you were the 2021 NFL Coach of the Year, and we're 8 games over 500 as a coach for our franchise. But for the Tennessee Titans and all their history and mystique and championship pedigree, they said that's not good enough. And so they went in and they brought in Brian Callahan. And it's way worse. Who could have saw that one coming? Amy Adams Strunk just so offended that Mike Vrabel said the Patriots, referred to the Patriots as we when he went into the Patriots Hall of Fame as the head coach, well, while he was the head coach of the Titans. So offended, they thought they could do better, and here we are. Just over a season later, a season and a third later. We've got our answer. They couldn't do better. They could not do better. What's very funny about this is obviously Callahan replaces Vrabel before the 2024 season, a season in which Mike Vrabel is not on a sideline in the NFL. He's consulting for the Browns, who also didn't consider him to be their head coach. Incredibly. But in that span, since the start of the Callahan era in Tennessee, since the beginning of 2024, he has won 4 games as the Titans head coach. Since the beginning of 2025, Mike Vrabel has won 4 games as an NFL head coach. He did it in 17 less games. Vrabel 4-2, Callahan 4-19. They just couldn't get it right, man. And what's got to be frustrating from a Titans fan standpoint, which is definitely our gain as Patriots fans, is it didn't have to be that way. You know, you didn't have to force him out. You know, no, this was not, the Titans didn't have a great year in 23. I think they were 6-11. But it wasn't like this was this funeral march towards the end of the season. Mike Vrabel going to be fired Black Friday. Wasn't like that, Black Monday, excuse me. That they would have got a nice deal if they fired him on Black Friday. And that makes it all the more ironic that it happens the week they're facing the Patriots. Because the last couple of years, we have not been able to be like, yeah, it's the Patriots' opponent who's the disaster. But here we are. And it's in Nashville this weekend. So they're going to see up close the guy who they would give anything to still have as their coach kick their team's ass this weekend. The guy they didn't even want to leave. The guy no Titans fan wanted out of here. They're going to see how Mike Vrabel went to another team that was honestly just as disastrous as yours, maybe even worse, and has already turned them around. While the Titans have got even worse. They're going to welcome in a Mike Vrabel coach team that is first in the AFC East after the Bills' loss. And they're going to think, what the hell? Why can't we get guys like that? They're going to see their ex walk into their party with a much hotter chick. They're going to see Mike Vrabel with a franchise quarterback, a competent staff, a distinct style of football, and actually knowing the rules of the game. Because one of the big Brian Callahan messes of this year was in week 1. He says he didn't challenge a key play. He tells the media after the game he didn't challenge a key play because he didn't know the challenge rules. On Sunday, Mike Vrabel challenged a play where his receiver made a catch. But he challenged it to say that, hey, my guy was in bounds. I want the clock moving. Gets it overturned, and then argues with the refs for another minute because the play clock was set to 25 when it should have been at 40 just to get him down to the 2-minute warning so that they could take the knees to end the game. You think Brian Callahan was going to do that anytime this year? That's what I kept saying about Vrabel in this coaching search and really in last year's coaching search when they ended up getting Gerard Mayo. Is that, look, you can look at the last year or two with Vrabel in Tennessee and just say, well, kind of lost his fastball, kind of petered out there. But you look around the coaching carousel every year and you find me a head coach who was 9 games over 500 and had been to an AFC championship game and had won NFL Coach of the Year. Just let me know how many guys are available like that every cycle. You're lucky to get one. You're lucky to get a guy with that kind of pedigree available. You know, it's not like you're just nabbing the last guy who went to the Super Bowl. That never, ever happens. It's the same with quarterbacks. You got a quarterback on the market who's healthy, who wins games, who throws more touchdowns twice as many touchdowns as picks. Even those guys don't become available. It was the same thing for a head coach. And that's why, when a lot of people were like, oh, you just want to tap into the Belichick thing. You just want that mystique. Like, no, man. Mike Vrabel was probably the most qualified head coach on the market this year. These guys don't grow on trees. And certainly a franchise like the Tennessee Titans shouldn't be giving up on a guy like that. Absolutely should not be. And I know their fans believe that too. Again, this was a guy who was absolutely beloved in Tennessee. And he won in Tennessee. And he was replaced by this uncharismatic loser who just didn't know where the direction of this franchise was going. And that seems to be the thing with the Patriots opponent this weekend. They just don't know where they're going. They lucked into the number 1 pick last year because the Patriots lost, or won, excuse me. They lost ultimately. But because the Patriots won, the Titans get lucked into this first overall pick. It's 6 games into the season with their franchise quarterback. They're firing their head coach. Having Mike McCoy step in. I don't know what it is with these number 1 overall pick quarterbacks. Their coaches get fired all the time, man. Chicago, Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and now the same thing here. But they have absolutely no direction, and it is a little refreshing, albeit with some schadenfreude involved, that you go into a week where the Patriots' opponent is the one that's the mess. But you look at the difference between those two coaches, Callahan and Mike Vrabel, and it's just night and day. It's night and day. Callahan did not have a good roster. Absolutely. They had a bad roster. So did Mike Vrabel when he got here. Okay? So did Mike Vrabel. And he also had a bad one when he got to Tennessee. He built that team. And it might be a while before the Titans are winning like that again, but this is going to be like the ultimate cucking this weekend for Titans fans, having to watch what their guy, Mike Vrabel, is going to do to their team. It's going to be a fun one. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you live every weekday, high noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Speaking of looking around the league, I'm watching Monday Night Football last night. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, the top 2 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. And it was a heck of a game, right? They both had good games. It's the late Bears comeback. There's there's the botched handoff that gives them the ball. They end up getting the game-winning field goal. There's mistakes on both sides, but there's good quarterback play. It's an awesome game. I'm watching Monday Night Football, and Caleb Williams is playing well. Jaden Daniels is playing well. And yet I'm sitting there thinking, I think I'd take Drake May over either one of them, which was not the case last year, obviously. Wasn't the case at the beginning of this year. Jaden Daniels won the Rookie of the Year last year. Brought the Washington Commanders, to the NFC Championship game. There was nobody at that point, not even me, saying, oh yeah, I'd rather have Drake May. I don't think Patriots fans were upset at having Drake May, but I don't think anyone would have said, yeah, I'd rather take Drake May over Jaden Daniels. That was not the case. But now, a third of the way through season number 2, only one of these guys is in the MVP race. And it's not either of the top 2 picks. Let's do a little side-by-side here with how these quarterbacks have done this season. It's really no contest. It's Drake May's season right now. Like way ahead in completion percentage, way ahead in passing yards anyway, yards per game, the passer rating, which has been off the charts, good for him this year. He's been getting out of the pocket. Like Drake May unequivocally is having the best year of these 3. And to take it a step further too, I listed on yesterday's show when I talked about Drake May, the MVP candidate, I listed all the things that he's top 5 in the league in, all these major categories, right? Passing yards, yards per attempt, yards per game, completion percentage, he's number 2. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels aren't in any of those categories in the top 5. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are not top 5 in anything really meaningful as a quarterback stat. Are they bums? No, they're not. And Jaden Daniels has played 2 less games than Drake May this year. It's worth noting. They're not bums, but at this point right now, if I'm starting a team, I think I'm starting Drake May to start this thing out. As good as it was for both these quarterbacks last night, Caleb Williams, 250 and a touchdown, no picks. Jaden Daniels, 211, 3 touchdowns and a pick. But last year, folks were arguing that Drake May was the 4th best quarterback in that first round. Jaden Daniels comfortably first, Bo Nix picked behind him at being number 2, and Caleb Williams possibly even being ahead of Drake May as well, even though Drake beat him one-on-one. But this season, though, be honest with me. Which quarterback you taking? I'm taking the one that's top 5 in all the meaningful passing categories, is at the top of the AFC East, and has the best signature win of any of these 3 guys this year, going up on the road against Buffalo and beating them in their own building and leading a game-winning drive to do it, out-dueling Josh Allen, last year's MVP. It would be crazy if Drake May actually did pull it off and become the MVP this year. But if we're talking about this draft class, for me, it's Drake May right now. And again, Jaden Daniels, still damn good. Bo Nix, still good. His team's going to be in the playoffs. His team might still have the best team out of any of these 4. Might. Although the way they played against the Jets on Sunday, I don't know. But you see 3 quarterbacks that went into somewhat similar situations in terms of the personnel around them, the players. But Drake May started way behind in terms of his coaching staff. And you want to talk about a second-year leap? It's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of your eyes. Drake May has absolutely made that second-year leap. More so than Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. So if I'm starting a franchise today, that probably means I don't have a great offensive line, probably means I don't have an elite receiver room. It probably means I don't have much of a run game. The guy who's had to deal with that more than any of these second-year quarterbacks is Drake May. And the one who's performing better than any of those second-year quarterbacks is Drake May. To me, it's not really much of a question this year. And it should make for some great theater going forward. You know, it's too bad that two of those guys are in the NFC, so they won't face each other a lot. But we might start to see some Bo Nix, Drake May matchups. And this will be the narrative anytime these guys play. And it's probably a little harsh on Caleb Williams, to be honest with you, because Caleb Williams has been fine. He's been a fine quarterback so far. And the numbers are getting better this year with a much more offensive-minded head coach, or better offensive-minded head coach maybe in Ben Johnson. But Jaden Daniels was definitely significantly better than him in his first season. And now Drake May is making the big second-year jump that the other two just aren't yet. They're okay. They're not making this huge leap like Drake May is. So for me, it's pretty easy. And I get to watch Drake every week. I watch every snap of football he's played in his NFL career. But that's the dude. That's the dude elevating his team right now to a playoff team, potentially, after winning 4 games last year. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams ain't turning anything around like that this year. But part of that's because Jaden Daniels did that last year. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's look at those top three picks, the quarterbacks. Who would you take from the 2024 draft? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May to be your starting quarterback in 2025? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because we come at you every weekday, noon Eastern time, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts, as well as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Red Sox, this hot stove winter. They need to go and get 2 starting pitchers, mainly a number 2 guy behind Garrett Crochet. We'll give you our top 3 candidates for whom that number 2 starter is going to be. It's coming up after this quick break on The Cam Show.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props, or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CAMSHOW. That's code CAMSHOW to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
Hello and welcome back to the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. That's why it's called that. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts, as well as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. We shift over to the Red Sox here because I'm going to be honest with you guys. We're going to talk a lot about the Red Sox offseason this winter. Like it is going to be, I know the Patriots are good again. Obviously, the Celtics will have a weird year. The Bruins will probably have a weird year. But this is going to be a fascinating offseason for the Red Sox. In fact, it's maybe the most interesting that I've had as a Red Sox fan in a decade or so. Maybe when they went out and got JD Martinez before 2018. But that's almost a decade ago. But this one is interesting because they've got so much flexibility. Whether they'll use it, we'll see. But they've got it. They cleared a ton of money, $250 million off the books with the stupid Rafael Devers trade. And they've got almost more prospects than they know what to do with. You know, for the first time like ever, they have 3 legit pitching prospects in the pipeline right now, and 2 of them have already pitched in the major leagues. They've got 2 team-controlled outfielders, one who was a Gold Glover, one who finished top 10 in the MVP voting in 2024, and neither one looks to be an everyday player in the outfield for the Red Sox long term. And they've already got a good team. So put all that together, it is a fascinating offseason for this Red Sox team. But when you look at the Red Sox and trying to make that next step in 2026, the first thing they need to address is a number 2 starting pitcher. That's without a doubt. Behind Garrett Crochet, there were just so many question marks, especially when you got to the postseason. You got good summers out of Brian Bayo and out of Lucas Giolito, but Giolito hurt, couldn't play in the wild card series. Brian Bayo might as well not have played in the wild card series, 2 1/3 innings pitched. It was just too much rolling the dice after Garrett Crochet, and you got into a point where you had an elimination game at Yankee Stadium, and Connolly Early was making his 5th start in the major leagues. That can't happen again. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look through our wish list, my wish list, the top 3 starting pitchers that I would go after if I were the Boston Red Sox, be it trade or be it free agency. These are looking at just the number 2 starter. Because, by the way, you probably need to get more than one. I'm okay with letting Lucas Giolito go this year. To me, the only 2 guys locked into that rotation right now are Garrett Crochet and Brian Bayo. It's probably going to be Connolly Early as your 5th starter coming out of the year, but those 2 are the only ones that I'm like nailed on. They're going to be here. So, without any further ado, let's do it. Top 3 starting pitchers to fill the void of the Red Sox number 2 starter. Number 1, no surprise here, Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins. I know there are some Red Sox fans that are almost sick of talking about Joe Ryan at this point because they didn't get him at the trade deadline, but let's not get it twisted. He is still the number 1 best option for this Red Sox team. Like, it will have to be a trade, But we've seen the Red Sox do that before. We'll get there in a second. But Minnesota, that team, it's not like they just stopped rebuilding after this season. They traded 10 guys at the deadline. And just because Joe Ryan didn't go then doesn't mean he's not for sale. And what it does mean is that the Twins are absolutely still rebuilding. New manager there. They sold off a ton of parts for whatever they could get in July. And they will absolutely be willing to wheel and deal at the winter meeting specifically. Because, I mean, you look at Red Sox pitching history, they typically make those trades in the winter. They don't make them at the trade deadline. Schilling, Beckett, Sale, Crochet, all happened in the winter. Even though some of those guys did have buzz around their respective trade deadlines. Like Garrett Crochet to Boston last trade deadline was absolutely on the table. They didn't do it, and then they went out and got him in the winter. You could see the same thing again here with Joe Ryan. He's coming off probably his best season as a starter, best ERA plus anyway, 125. He made his only all-star team so far in 2025 as well. He's been at or above 10 strikeouts per nine every year of his career. Had a new career high in starts and innings last year, so there's not as much of a question there as you had with Garrett Crochet, which, by the way, he answered pretty emphatically. But there's less of that anxiety, less of that stress if you're going to be extending a guy like Joe Ryan. You know that he can handle the workload. But what I love about him is he's got a little bit of throwback to him. He pounds the strike zone. He's one of the most effective fastball pitchers in the sport. And if you line those two up next to each other, which is really what we're talking about here, who do you roll out 1-2 in a playoff series? Garrett Crochet and Joe Ryan giving you power arms from either side of the rubber. That is how you open up a playoff series. And then you get some of the more mercurial guys, right? With Brian Bayo, Connolly early, guys who aren't throwing as hard but are also locating. Joe Ryan is kind of the perfect fit in that spot for the number 2 starter, for his style of pitching, for his stats, and for the guy he's coming after in Garrett Crochet. Now, what will it take in a trade? This is the one where we have to ask, because the other two are free agents. The ones you have to ask in a trade, it sounded like it was going to be the password, Yostinson Garcia, Peyton Tolley, maybe Franklin Arias at the trade deadline. The Red Sox weren't willing to move off of that, I guess, or the Twins didn't think they had enough. Franklin Arias is the only one there that I would be hesitant on. I like the password, but probably a bit of a logjam in the outfield. And I do really like Peyton Tolley, but there are questions around Tolley that aren't around Connolly early. And so if you're going to keep one, it becomes easier to keep Connolly early. I think there's a good ceiling for Peyton Tolley, but it's going to take some time for him to develop some secondary pitches, and we'll see. I wouldn't mind moving on from Christian Campbell for a guy like Joe Ryan, because I like Christian Campbell. I'm not as down on him as a lot of Red Sox fans are, but if it yields you someone like Joe Ryan, I'm willing to do that. I'm definitely willing to headline a package with Jarren Duran or Willie Abreu. To me, again, they both absolutely have their positives and contributed positives to last year's team, but I would absolutely do a deal of either Duran or Abreu with the password and Peyton Tolley going in there for Joe Ryan. I think that would be a win for the Red Sox in the short to medium term. I think absolutely would become a win for the Red Sox. So to me, that's still the number one option, but you would have to trade for them. These next guys, you wouldn't have to. Number 2 on the Red Sox wish list for number 2 starters this year, Ranger Suarez. I'm really intrigued by Ranger Suarez here because in most free agent classes, I think he's one of those guys that becomes a great under the radar value signing, kind of like Nate Eovaldi with Texas, right? But in this free agent class, which is not very deep, he's going to be near the top of the list. So the price might end up being a little crazy. That said, the Red Sox, they've got money, man. They have got money. When they made that stupid Rafi Devers trade, they have got money to throw around. So that shouldn't be that much of an issue. Again, he's a guy whose name you don't hear thrown around a lot, but he's been a pretty big part of some good teams over the last couple of years in Philadelphia. And you look at that baseball savant page, man, it is redder than an Irish tourist in Mallorca. Like, it is just red across the board. Now, he's very different from Garrett Crochet, and he's different from Joe Ryan, and even to a certain extent, a little bit different than Brian Bayo. But he's a lefty with some great off-speed stuff. He's not a hard fastball thrower. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but it is pretty good. His swing and miss is pretty good. But the big thing is you can't barrel him up. He's in the 98th percentile in MLB in hard hit rate. He is missing barrels all the time. That's his elite starting pitcher trait. Gets a ton of ground balls as a result. But one thing that is kind of a detractor is even with all that, it hasn't exactly led to a big time workload. This is his fourth season as a starter. He was in the bullpen before that, and he has yet to eclipse 160 innings. That was some of the anxiety you had about Garrett Crochet. I believe his was 164. That was the most he had ever gone. And it was like, okay, but can he give you 180? Can he give you 200 innings if he's going to be at the top of your rotation? That said, all the other numbers with Ranger Suarez are getting better. He's striking out more guys every year. And maybe more importantly, he's walking less guys every year. So the dude is 30, sure. So is Joe Ryan. So is the next guy we're going to talk about. But even at being 30 years old, there's not a lot of tread on those tires. And he's really still figuring out how to be a top-of-the-line starting pitcher in this league. Now, because he's a free agent right now and his numbers are getting better by the year, that might demand a 5 or 6 year deal, even for a guy at that age. But again, if you're the Red Sox, you've got the money to do it, and again, the numbers are positive. They're going up all the time. And even in his limited postseason starts, he's been pretty damn effective. When the Phillies went to the LCS in 2023, he had a sub-2 ERA in his 4 postseason starts. Like he was pretty electric in that run, and came in relief in this year's because he had a bit of an injury towards the end of the season. But Ranger Suarez, for me, checks off a lot of the boxes. Now, again, that price is going to be high, even coming off a bit of an injury, but he's a guy whose numbers absolutely slot in to be a number 2 starter for you on a playoff team, and he's not going to cost you any prospects like Joe Ryan is. So if all it costs you is money, that could be a big time win for the Red Sox if they go out and get Ranger Suarez, who, he intrigues me a lot. The third guy is kind of taking a flyer a little bit. Kind of. I'll explain why. Number 3 for the Red Sox wish list for number 2 starting pitcher, Dylan Cease of the San Diego Padres. Now, it feels like a bit of a flyer because he's coming off a not so great year. And I was against this one for a long time for 2 reasons. First off, he's not coming off a great year. And second reason, I don't want to take flyers on guys anymore. You've done that the last 4 or 5 years. I think you're in a position where you don't have to do that. But the more I look deeper into his numbers, I really think I would like to have Dylan Cease as your number 2 behind Garrett Crochet. But there's good and bad across his last couple of seasons. The bad is this. 2 of the last 3 seasons, he just hasn't put up great numbers. Okay, like that's fair, including this past year where he was 8-12 and he had a 4.5 ERA, which got better actually down the last month or 2 of the season. The good is this. The seasons before each of those bad years, he finished top 5 in the Cy Young voting. So like Crochet, his former teammate in Chicago, he's still one of the best swing and miss guys in the league. Like that's something that is not dipped for Dylan Cease. He actually led the majors in strikeouts per 9 last year. He's done that twice in his career. Last year, it was 11.5 strikeouts per 9. Now, again, that good comes with the bad. He's still one of the best strikeout pitchers in the league, but he is one of the worst walking starters in the league. Walks too many guys. It's almost 4 per 9. There are some questions about that control. His whip is 1.3, but not much of a question about his durability and how much he can give you in a season. And I know I've referenced that with all 3 of these guys, but I think it's really worth noting when you see how that Red Sox starting rotation kind of floundered towards the end and kind of ran out of gas towards the end. Ironically enough, it was the guy who had all the question marks about that, Garrett Crochet, who was by far the strongest at the end of the season. Dylan Cease is also worth noting. He does have a couple of bad playoff outings as well, some catastrophic playoff outings. But again, the bad with the good, he's gone over 200 strikeouts in every full season he's had in the major leagues. I am really intrigued to see what his market is money-wise. Okay, he's another guy who's 30 years old. 2 of the last 3 seasons have not been great. And so I wonder, does he do like a Scherzer or a Bregman type of deal where it's a 2-year deal, $20 million, $25 million, good AAV, but you've got an opt-out after a year. It's definitely riskier with pitchers than it is with hitters, but that might get you a 4 or 5 year deal after that if you're 31 and coming off a season where you've got a 3.2 ERA and you're striking out 12 guys per 9. That could absolutely be the case. And I look at the stats too, and the other thing that kind of strikes me about Dylan Cease, he might just have some bad luck. Like this season, his FIP, fielding independent pitching, was a full run below his actual ERA, which tells you that ERA is probably a little misleading. That actually happened in both his down years, one in Chicago and one in San Diego. It's weird too, because the Padres do play very good defense. They're definitely an above average defensive team. So I don't know where exactly the bad luck is coming from, but certainly it found its way to Dylan Cease. So if he's your number 2 starter and that's the only move you make, that's risky to the point of disappointing. But Dylan Cease, if you can get him as your number 2, it's not the end of the world. You need to go and get someone else. And the best case scenario is Dylan Cease is your number 4. That would be fantastic as your number 3 or number 4 starter. That would put together probably the best rotation in the American League. It'd be you and the Yankees when Garrett Cole's healthy with the best rotation in the AL and maybe in all of baseball. But let me know what you think. Who's on your wish list for this Red Sox number 2 starter role? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because we come at you every weekday live at high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. The Cam Show is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Bruins. It's been a surprising start, a week into the NHL season. Your Boston Bruins are 3-1. But what parts of this are actually sustainable? Let's tell you after this short break. It's coming up next on The Cam Show.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Back here on the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. That's why it's called that. Zach Burke, behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week, live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. We have talked the Patriots and the weird week they're now having because the other team's coach gets fired. Hopefully no dead cat bounce for the Titans. We have talked about our top 3 on the wish list for the Red Sox number 2 starter in this offseason. But the surprise of Boston sports the last week has been the Bruins. A week into the season, the Bruins are 3-1. Their only loss coming to the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team that could be competing for the Stanley Cup this year, and only lost by 1 goal at home. Now they head out west. They face some good teams like the Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday night, late night. But it's kind of got me wondering, is this a fluke so far? They're tied with the Colorado Avalanche for the most goals in the league, for a team that finished 28th in goals for last year and did not add a goal scorer to their lineup. In fact, they subtracted a goal scorer, a 25 goal scorer from their opening night lineup last year in Brad Marchand to their opening night this year. So is it fluky? Yeah, it is. But I'll say this. You lost to the Lightning. That's tough. You beat 2 bad teams in Chicago and Buffalo, but you did beat a good team in Washington on opening night, where you played it exactly the way you wanted to play it. Jeremy Swayman, excellent. David Pastrnak, 3-point night, and you killed all the penalties. They have not allowed a power play goal yet this year. That's going to be key for the Bruins. Killing penalties, defensive structure. That's the way Marco Sturm wants to win. I'll tell you that 3-1, the way they're playing, is not sustainable, right? Like it's just not. They're not going to be a top goal scoring team in the league. I don't know if you'll get this all season long from guys like Casey Middlestat. I hope you're getting a better Charlie McAvoy. All in all, this is not sustainable. They're not going to be like a nailed on playoff team because that's the way they're playing right now. I'll tell you what is sustainable though. Those are your 2 franchise guys. And I'm not including Charlie McAvoy in that just yet because he's coming off the injury. I'll give him some grace there. But what is sustainable is the performances of David Pastrnak and mainly Jeremy Swayman. You know, Pastrnak has the big 3-point night on opening night. He's going to be a 100-point scorer. He proved that last year. It doesn't matter who you put next to him. He's going to be a 100-point scorer. And just by having one of those, you typically have a chance, right? But what's most sustainable about this Bruins season and this Bruins start is the way that Jeremy Swayman is playing. There was no bigger X factor coming into this Bruins season than Jeremy Swayman. And so far, so good. It's only 2 starts. And yeah, you might be saying, Cam, how is that sustainable? He's got a 966 save percentage. Yeah, not that. But he's given up 2 goals on 58 shots. He needs to be between 910 and 920. Like he needs to be that good for the Bruins to be a playoff team. He's got to have some Vezina buzz. He's got to receive some Vezina votes for the Bruins to be a playoff team like he was 2 years ago, when in hindsight, we went and saw, wow, that goaltending tandem probably is what saved them. Probably what got them there. So yeah, he's not going to have a 966 save percentage and a 1 goals against average the whole season. But he's certainly, we know the kind of level he can be at, and he just looks more locked in. And having a regular preseason will contribute greatly to that. So you can't take much in the save percentage and the goals against 2 starts into the season. But I'll tell you what is trending in the right direction as well is that goals save above average. Because 2 years ago, 3 and 2 years ago, in 22-23 and 23-24, he was excellent in that category. He was over 15 goals saved above average. And in all of his full seasons leading up to last year, he was positive. So that means he is better than the league average goalie in that he is taking goals away from other teams that the league average goalie would give up. Okay. Last year, minus 12.6. He was hurting you. He was giving up more goals than the league average goalie. Shots that weren't supposed to go in were going in against him. This year through 2 games, it's 3.9. So that shows me two encouraging signs to see that it's sustainable. A, he's taking goals away from the opponent. But B, it's not a crazy number so far this year because he's probably got a better defense around him. Hampus Lindholm is making the trip. He should be back in this trip. Charlie McAvoy is back out there on the ice. Mason Lohrei is another year older and wiser. Like, you've got a better D-core around you and hopefully better defensive forwards in front of you than you had last year. I think this is sustainable for Jeremy Swayman, but he is going to need to be a legit Vezina kind of guy in order for them to be a playoff team. And he's going to get the interesting first start here of the road trip at Vegas Thursday night. That will, I mean, if you do well against Vegas and that first line, that devastatingly good first line, then you could do well against just about anybody. So yeah, I think the Bruins, this start's a little bit fluky, but if they can get this sustainable effort from David Pastrnak and Jeremy Swayman and get some decent secondary scoring, then maybe they can be a playoff team. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Can we see this Jeremy Swayman again? Let me know in the comments section. Then be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you don't think this is a fluky Bruins team, because we come at you live every weekday, high noon Eastern time on YouTube. And then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. It is The Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. We will see you tomorrow on another edition of a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.